Howdy, folks. Welcome back, or welcome aboard, as the case may be. We are glad to have you. You are listening to Saint Cities by Doc Owen Show. This is our once-a-week show where we focus on the issue of sanctuary cities and its kissing cousin kind of illegal immigration. So I am joined in the studio tonight by Miss Ima Surefire. Ima, say hello.
Howdy, folks. How y'all doing?
Very well. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Pretty good.
There you go.
Getting ready for big Thanksgiving Day.
Turkey Day.
Yum. Or ham.
Or ham,
Yeah.
as the case may be. We are all over the social media as Doc Owen Show. DocOwenShow. Find us on Facebook, like our Doc Owen Show page. Follow us on Twitter. It's a great way to find out that we're doing a show, because the minute we hit broadcast live in our studio, a tweet goes out that says Doc Owen Show is live. So you won't miss any of the live productions. Also on Twitter, take that back. Going down the wrong path. We have a blog called docowenshow.com for now, and we just signed up for a new internet extension called .blog, B-L-O-G. So in the relatively near future, we're going to move our docowenshow.com over to docowenshow.blog, just because it allows us to be a little bit more distinctive in what we have to say and how we deliver our message. We also have free apps for both the iPhone and the Android, and on either one of those devices, you have access to our entire library of shows that have been going on. We're in our fourth year for the Doc Owen Show, which is on every Thursday night, and then this is our first year to have a dedicated show called Saint Cities. So we're glad you're here. That's a little bit of the background. We begin every show in a very traditional, standard sort of manner to try to help set the tone. And the first piece of that is a quotation from Ms. Surefire that she has found having to do with inspiration. I follow that up with a leadership quote or something having to do with moving forward. And then we do a very well-known version of the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by Mr. Red Skelton. We follow that up with a poem, and then we follow that up with a rousing rendition of a really good song that we like, and then we'll dive into the show. So, Ms. Surefire, take it away.
And tonight's quote comes from PocketFuel.com. That's PKTFuel.com. And tonight's quote comes from the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 24 and 25. But hope means that we must trust and wait for what is still unseen. For why would we need to hope for something we already have? So because our hope is set on what is yet to be seen, we patiently keep on waiting for its fulfillment. Somewhere along the way, we have lost the deeper meanings of trust, waiting, and patience. I see that in day-to-day life and in the worldview. Hope is gritty and gutsy. It's courageous and determined. Sometimes it's a loud shout on a mountaintop or the smallest whisper through exhaustion. Like, whew, I hope my homework gets easier, but I seriously doubt it. There is deep darkness in the world. That's true. No denying it. But there is also the light of hope.
Interesting you picked up on the word trust.
That's true.
Our leadership quote tonight comes from a book called 250 optimistic quotes for achieving the extraordinary put together by the Optimist Club and given to me when I gave a presentation to him. This one is from a fellow by the name of H.L. Mencken, M-E-C-K-E-N. And it says, "For it is mutual trust, even more than mutual interests, that holds human associations together."
I like that. That's very good.
Well, thank you. Considering I didn't write it, I just found it. So, but considering our focus on sanctuary cities and what we have to say about them tonight, that is continues to bubble up in the news, you will understand, interestingly, why both of us focused in on the word trust. So let's now listen to Mr. Red Skelton, who, if you are not familiar, if you're less than a baby boomer out there, you're probably not familiar. But Mr. Skelton was a very well-known comedian and the host of a weekly television show back in the day before it was color. There was black and white television, and we loved it. And hear how Red does his version of the Pledge of Allegiance. Here's Mr. Skelton.
Here he goes.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, "I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
TV on to wake up and clear my head. I catch the news in time to view another stirring of the pot. Talks of inequality and what people need, forgetting what they got. But in these times of opposition, the prejudice runs deep. Dividing us by heritage is all they ever preach. They tell us that they really care. To them it's just a game. 'Cause we were all Americans before the hyphens came. And people cared about who you were and less about your name. 'Cause we were all Americans before the hyphens came. Down along the line, someone had a great idea. Divide us up by heritage and profit from the fear. But growing up a while back, before the racial trends, whether immigrant, white or black, we just called each other friends. And if we spoke an extra language, it was just another way to pledge allegiance to the flag. God bless the USA. They tell us that they really care. To them it's just a game. 'Cause we were all Americans before the hyphens came. And people cared about who you were and less about your name. 'Cause we were all Americans before the hyphens came.
That was some friends of ours by the name of Madison Rising. Their lead singer, Mr. David Bray. I think that song's from about 2014, if I remember correctly. When I got to know the boys, they were just hitting the trail. Now let me give you something else about the Hyphens. It is circa 1954. So 2014, 54, 60 years of the growth of the hyphen dividing this country. Give a listen to the Duke. Mr. John Wayne, please.
The hyphen, Webster's dictionary defines, is a symbol used to divide a compound word or a single word. So it seems to me that when a man calls himself an Afro-American, a Mexican-American, Italian-American, an Irish-American, Jewish-American, what he's saying is, I'm a divided American. Well, we all came from other places, different creeds, different races, to form a nation, to become as one. Yet look at the harm a line has done. A simple little line, and yet as divisive as a line can get. A crooked cross the Nazis flew, and the Russian hammer and sickle, too. Time bombs in the lives of man. But none of these could ever fan the flames of hatred faster than the hyphen. The Russian hammer built a wall that locks men's hearts from freedom's call. The crooked cross flew overhead above 20 million tragic dead. Among them, men from this great nation who died for freedom's preservation. A hyphen is a line that's small. It can be a bridge or be a wall. A bridge can save you lots of time. A wall you always have to climb. The road to liberty lies true. The hyphen's use is up to you. Used as a bridge, it can span all the differences of man. Being free in mind and soul should be our most important goal. If you use the hyphen as a wall, you'll make your life mean and small. An American is a special breed whose people came to her in need. They came to her that they might find a world where they'd have peace of mind, where men are equal, and something more, stand taller than they stood before. So you be wise in your decision, and that little line won't cause division. Let's join hands with one another, for in this land each man's your brother. United we stand, divided we fall. We're Americans, and that says it all.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our intro. It generally takes up, actually, about the first quarter of the show, but that's fine because it's a message that needs to be delivered and delivered and delivered and re-delivered. And it needs to be spread. You need to tell your friends about John Wayne and the hyphen poem, which, by the way, he not only read it, he wrote it. That's an original from a guy that you thought couldn't do anything but ride a horse and shoot a 6-gun. Before you get the wrong impression about Saint Cities by the Doc Owen Show, we are not against sanctuary cities. We are simply for the formation of sanctuary cities for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. We need sanctuaries for Christmas that are Christmas for sure, and Christians that are being persecuted on a worldwide basis, such as the protection to display a nativity scene at Christmas, or the Ten Commandments wherever or where people engage openly in prayer and read the Bible without fear of retaliation. A sanctuary for our military personnel, both active and veteran. A sanctuary for family values that are constantly being eroded in favor of a vocal minority. A sanctuary free from the constant discord created by being hyphenated Americans. We are not Hispanic Americans, white, black, or Asian Americans, or any other dash American. As Mr. Wayne said, we are simply Americans. a sanctuary for patriots that are proud of our unique American heritage, and finally a sanctuary for the sanctity of life from conception to a natural end. That's what SAINT stands for, Sanctuary Assembled in Nature's Tradition. Our Constitution and Bill of Rights did not give us these rights. It simply codified them into law, and that's what we need to respect. The one of the kind of underlying themes that I wanted to talk about tonight was the fact that this whole sanctuary city thing, the argument, the controversy, the challenge is that one side is extremely emotional about it, and the other side tries to apply logic to a solution. That will never work. The only way you can counter an emotional argument is with an emotional solution. And so that's why I believe so strongly in saint cities. That's an emotional solution, a sanctuary assembled in nature's tradition. Yes, there are logical things you can throw at sanctuary cities, and we'll talk about some of those tonight, and we've got a couple of sound clips. The first, one of the first articles that I saw this week said sanctuary cities are back in the spotlight. To me, that's kind of like telling a business executive that white shirts are popular again. I mean, sorry, they never knew they went out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's where I'm coming from on sanctuary cities. I didn't know they were ever out of the spotlight. I mean, the mainstream media might have found other things to talk about, but sanctuary cities, particularly if you followed the Trump campaign, were somewhat in the spotlight all along. Before we dive in, before we get into some real specifics and a couple of sound bites that I've got, I also want to, besides the logical versus emotional argument, if you will, we need to cover some very, very basic facts. The problem is not with immigrants. The problem is not with immigration to this country. We are very proud of our heritage of being a bunch of immigrants. Well, each one of us is proud of our background of having come from, a family that immigrated to the United States and built something beyond belief to the rest of the world. However, we don't cotton very much to illegal immigrants, people who break the law to get here, no matter what the emotional story is that you are told as to why they are here. Mm-hmm. That's you must learn to separate that, and you must learn to focus on the fact that they are operating outside the law. The people who came here in droves and came through Ellis Island on the East Coast were under the same amount of duress, if not worse, than the people that are flowing across our southern border. But they did the right thing. They came in the right way. They were put on a fast track to citizenship, if you will, and the same opportunity exists today. You don't have to be an illegal to be an immigrant. I'm sorry. I don't believe that it's true. I just don't believe it. The other thing is we're going to hear a little bit about the police forces and the lack of cooperation between local law authorities and the federal government. Local police forces claim that cooperating with ICE, cooperating with immigration and customs enforcement hinders their ability to do their job because they lose the trust of the local residents. And it always amazes me that they use the term resident instead of citizen. Their job is not to protect the residents of their town. Their job is to protect the citizens of their town. And if you are here as an illegal immigrant, you are not a citizen of this country. And unfortunately, no matter how much others and would like it to be true, just being here does not give you the rights of a citizen.
That's true.
I'm sorry. And it's not just the United States. I mean, put the shoe on the other foot. Mm-hmm. Try to get I can't imagine why you would. Go to Mexico illegally and see what happens to you.
You get thrown in jail.
You're thrown in jail.
And that's a real jail.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's ugly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't deliver biscuits from 8B.
Not at all.
Okay, let's listen to a couple of sound bites while I grab a sip of water. These are fresh off of the campaign trail. They are interviews with some folks having to do with the outspoken position of President-elect Donald Trump and his stance on immigration and sanctuary cities, mostly sanctuary cities. Give it a go.
Well, mayors of sanctuary cities across the country are prepping for a battle with the Trump administration. Many have vowed to openly defy the federal government on immigration laws, refusing even to report criminal aliens who have been released from jail. Joining us now is the former governor of the border state of New Mexico, Bill Richardson. Great to see you, Governor. So
nice to be with you, Tucker.
There are millions of people here illegally, and I guess the question is, do the mayors of these cities have any idea who they are? That's a significant question from the perspective of national security. Do they know who these people are? Do they care?
They do know who they are. They're the construction workers, they're the fruit pickers, they're the restaurant workers, they're people that are janitors, they're doing essential work, and a majority, according to studies, have not participated in crime. Look, we're talking about 200 American cities in 32 states. And you know, right, Tucker, who wants to make sure this law, sanctuary cities, remain, is police officers. Police officers don't want to do the work of the federal government, going and asking who's illegal or not.
Police officers don't get to make
don't
laws.
Want this to change.
They carry out the laws.
Police,
it's a little weird
law
that
enforcement community.
Law enforcement, not lawmaking.
Tucker, the law enforcement community has stopped efforts in the Congress.
A bit of an overstatement. I mean, police chiefs serve at the pleasure of mayors typically, and they kind of do what they're told. But here's the point. The 9/11 Commission recommended against things like this, as you well know, in 2004. 6 of the 9/11 hijackers had violated immigration laws. It's not a small thing to say, you know what, we don't know who these people are really. We know what they do, as you pointed out. We don't know who they are. They don't have Social Security numbers. And they're roaming free, and, like, we don't care because we know they're going to vote for us when they get legalized by a Democrat? I mean, isn't that kind of reckless?
No, first of all, it's going to take a long time before they can vote, with a path to legalization taking almost 11 years and Donald Trump wanting to deport everybody. So that's point number one. Point number two, listen to what I'm saying. The law enforcement community, police officers, don't want this to interfere in their policing of local communities because it's going to break up families.
I'm not going to go along with that stipulation because I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true. We don't know that. And by the way, who cares what they think, because that's distinct from what elected officials are charged with doing.
The local police officer, local police
You've been elected
in all
to a
of
lot of
these cities
offices,
don't
Governor.
want this to happen.
We don't know that. You know, first of all, I don't buy that. The Fraternal Order of Police, the largest police union, endorsed Trump. So that may tell you something right there. But my point is, look, you've been elected to Congress, you've been elected governor. Is it really okay for an elected official to say, as many did during the 50s and 60s, we're just going to ignore what the feds want? We're defying federal law. Is that a good precedent to set? Because if they can do it on this, why can't they do it on other laws?
If we follow your logic, why is it that so many object, including conservatives, with President Obama wanting to stop deportations? It's a federal responsibility.
Is it a good precedent to set? If I'm mayor, can I just say, you know what, we're not going to enforce that law? Maybe a law against child abuse or drug use or tax evasion. We're just not going to enforce it. There's nothing you can do. Should we do that? Really?
As long as the local law community, the local law enforcement community, the local city council agrees with the mayor, this is a states' rights, a city rights issue. The police should
so you're a
be
states'
determined
rights
by
guy now.
a mayor.
I knew this was going to wind up in a crazy place. So did you just invoke states' rights?
Now you've changed your position. You want the federal government. You want federal laws to run everything. We want the states. We want local
Is that
control.
What you're saying?
You've changed your argument with the election of Trump. Come on.
Amazing. All right, now, Governor, while we got you here, quickly, last time we talked about a story that actually you know a lot about. It's a story that a lot of people are ignoring, including the administration, but this kid, 21 years old, Otto Warmbier, he's a UVA student, he's from Ohio. He's being held hostage in North Korea right now, and it doesn't seem like a lot is being done to get him home. So we reached out to the State Department for an update, and here's what they said, and tell us what you think of this. This is the quote from State. Quote, "We understand that a DPRK, North Korean court, convicted U.S. citizen Otto Warmbier. Mr. Warmbier reportedly was charged with hostile acts against the country, sentenced to 15 years hard labor. Now he has gone through the criminal process. We urge that country to pardon him, grant him amnesty, or immediate release on humanitarian grounds." Is that an effective way to negotiate with North Korea over an American hostage, do you think?
Well, look, the problem, Tucker, is that the North Koreans don't want to talk to us. They've isolated themselves from the entire international community. I've been working with the North Koreans to try to get Otto out. I mean, we haven't had much success, but, you know, we're trying to find ways, like, for instance, the remains of American soldiers from the Korean War, see if we can get some of those remains back, find some humanitarian way that allows Otto Warmbier, who is a kid, you know, he just made a mistake, to come home. So we're working that, and we're working with the White House to make that happen. I mean, they have to be very careful. Ours is a private effort, a humanitarian effort. You know, I try to do this with American prisoners, American servicemen around the world. We don't know what's going to happen with Otto, but we've had some success in the past, but it's not a lost deal. I think the State Department has to be very careful. You know,
why wouldn't they just say to China, though? I mean, could China, I mean, you've done this before, so I mean, this is a serious question, but couldn't the U.S. government say to China, hey, pressure your client states, just let the guy out, like now?
Well, we've tried to do that, but I don't think China wants to help us. Why would they want to help us? They want to create little trouble for us in the peninsula.
Yeah,
so,
good point.
Unfortunately, China does have leverage with North Korea, but they don't want to use it. I mean, we need them to stop their nuclear weapons. But, you know, we're making a little progress, a little slow progress, and we hope to get them out.
Well, I thank you for what you're doing. Governor, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
All right.
A rising number of left-wing mayors in sanctuary cities across the country pledging to fight both the law and the president-elect. 11 cities now, from Los Angeles to New York, vowing not to cooperate with the Trump administration on deportation orders for illegal immigrants, preserving their sanctuary status. There are more than 200 of these sanctuary cities and jurisdictions all across the country. All told, about 400 jurisdictions that have policies, police department orders, or non-binding resolutions of some kind that limit local officials from cooperation with federal immigration law enforcement, ignoring federal law. Now, Trump has threatened to cut off federal aid to these sanctuary cities, and he has a lot of leverage to do so. Those sanctuary cities receive some $650 billion from the federal government. That's what they call leverage. Joining me now, the co-host of The Five, Kimberly Guilfoyle, attorney and absolutely perfect to talk about the issue of sanctuary cities.
Yes, you're right.
Because all levels of law are involved.
You're absolutely right. And also because I was a prosecutor, assistant district attorney in San Francisco, which is one of the premier violators in terms of being a sanctuary city. And for all intents and purposes, they are going to continue to do so. And now you see a lot of people being very vocal, some of the different mayors across this country saying defiant that they will flat out disregard the rule of law in favor of their political ideology.
Help me out on something, because I listen to some of the people for whom I have very low regard on any level, who run these cities, in particularly Rahm Emanuel in Chicago, a violent crime wave.
Well, he should be recalled just based on the loss of lives there.
It's saying to people he's going to, preserve Chicago as a sanctuary city, no matter the law, no matter what. And I'm sorry, didn't this administration just use federal supremacy clause law to insist upon getting done whatever it wanted to on this issue? Why should it not? Why should it not apply in the issue of sanctuary cities straight out?
Oh, it should apply. I mean, it is applicable. It should apply. But the problem is you have people putting forward their own ideology and their viewpoints and trying to put forward these sanctuary cities, by the way, at great cost to public safety, to people who are here legally, who are citizens, who deserve a right to be protected and have the rule of law followed. But instead you have these people, these miscreants across the country, going ahead and thumbing their nose at the law. If you're not going to follow the law and the rules of the land, then don't be in the position.
And to be clear, what Donald Trump has said, his administration will be going after criminal, illegal immigrants.
Correct.
The estimate is 2 to 3 million of them. And on that basis, they make up a considerable portion of violent crime in this country, the MS-13, various gangs.
Absolutely. And all the gangs that come across and they recruit.
What's it going to take to do it?
It's going to really take a firm hand, and I believe that President-elect Donald Trump will do it, because this is something he was very passionate about. He talked about putting forward Kate's Law based on the homicide of Kate Steinle that happened in San Francisco. If the rule of law was followed, Kate Steinle would be alive today, and that's also the law that Bill O'Reilly was pushing so hard as well. I think that Trump will put that in, and he can use also executive action to put that forward.
Now, he is about, the president-elect, to reverse a substantial number of the executive actions and orders on the part of President Obama. Is that going to work in most cases with those executive orders? Yes,
I think it will. I think it will work with respect to because President Obama came out about the Dreamers and asking, and people are pushing President Obama to pardon 750,000. That's not going to work, because even if he pardons them, it doesn't make them legal or citizens. So that's an issue right there. So some of that can be undone by President-elect Donald Trump. Also about transgender, the bathrooms, that can be undone. And then there's like one other one that maybe I think that he can do pretty quickly. So, I mean, I think you'll see it happen, to be honest.
And very quickly, Mitt Romney coming in to talk with the president-elect. I have just confessed my
what a turnabout.
my petty nature in these things, as viciously as Mitt Romney attacked Donald Trump's candidacy.
And he was in a very powerful position to exert some influence on behalf of the Republican Party to bring everybody together. And instead, he went out of his way.
What's his name? Evan?
Yeah, the guy in, what's his name? In McMillan or something in Utah. So that's a problem. So, but you know what? It just goes to show how magnanimous President Donald Trump, elect Donald Trump is going to be. And he's actually reaching across the lines to try to make things work.
In his transition to this point, if I say so myself, I mean, he has been extraordinary. And at the same time, the national left-wing media continue, New York Times, Washington Post, continue their carping and attacks. It's some of the, I thought they were ignorant during the campaign.
Sure.
They've risen to a level of ignorance and abhorrence of the basic precepts of journalism that I never imagined they could reach even 2 weeks ago.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Appalling.
It really is. But you know what? America will be the beneficiary of great decision-making and honest leadership with President-elect Donald Trump.
And we have just learned that General Michael Flynn has been offered the job of National Security Advisor in the Trump White House.
There
Kimberly,
you go. All right,
great
excellent.
to see you. And
Great
so
to see you
it begins.
Yes, so it begins.
Or continues. Thanks so much. Be sure to vote in our poll tonight. Do you believe the left-wing national media will give ever Donald Trump due credit for reaching out so graciously, magnanimously?
So I'll vote in the survey that they're doing. No, they will not give him any credit for anything. If we thought the 8 years that George W. Bush was in office, that the mainstream media attacked him unmercifully, I think we have seen nothing compared to what's going to go on for at least the next 4 years. That's the reason that the name of the show is Sanctuary Cities Are Dead. Hell no, say the Dems. I mean, these guys have come out. If you listen to the Doc Owen show, which I hope you do on Thursday nights, the last couple of shows have been about the Democrat folks doing a double down on the results of the election. That's the only thing that they know how to do, is when they are spanked, they just cry louder. You know, it's like a child that the more you spank them for what they did wrong, the louder they cry until you finally feel guilty and give them a chocolate or something just to shut them up. And that's kind of what's been going on in this country for the last 50 or 60 years, while the Democrat Party that I grew up with, that there was really, I mean, it had absolutely no resemblance whatsoever to today's, Democrat Party. I'm working up to do a series of blogs on the Democrat Party has been hijacked by the radical left, just like the Republican Party was hijacked by the rhinos. And you guys that are Democrats that listen to this show, both of you, need to pay attention to the fact that you need to take your party back. The Tea Party, what is now being called the alt-right, the conservative wing of the Republican Party took the party back. That's what Donald Trump is about. The conservative crowd took the party back and put Trump out there as the candidate. And by the way, that encouraged the bulk of the people in the United States of America to stand up and support the Republican Party when they had not been doing that. The Democrats need to take back their party as well. All right, remember when we started the show, hopefully you were here. If not, I'll just give you a little reflection on the fact that too many people make sanctuary cities an emotional decision. Here's the headline. Proposed deportations would harm Texas families. We no longer want the tired and the poor. We no longer accept the huddled masses seeking salvation from circumstance. We have decided we are too tired and too poor and too restricted ourselves to give others a space in our country. Hogwash. We've never felt that way about legal immigration, nor will we ever as a country. That literally is not who we are. So, that's the very opening paragraph to what is obviously a seriously liberal slanted point of view. Mm-hmm. Pulling on your heartstrings, mm-hmm. making you feel guilty, when in fact, folks, they're illegal. Dad, burn it. How many times do you have to say it? And so there's a fellow by the name of Charles Perry, a Republican out of Lubbock, who is responsoring. He put it out there in the last legislative session in 2015, and it wasn't successful. He's coming back in 2017 with a bill in the Texas legislature that would cut state funding to cities that fail to enforce federal immigration laws. The bill was designated a priority by Lieutenant Governor Greg Abbott and back then, and it's going to be the same thing by now Governor Greg Abbott. All right? And it is a move to block cities from instituting sanctuary city policies. Not saint cities policies, sanctuary cities policies. Those who oppose sanctuary cities do so for two reasons, according to this author. They believe deportation practices keep the United States safer, and these protective policies do not comply with federal law. See there, they come at the problem or the situation from an emotional perspective, and the other side, in all too many cases, comes at it from a logical perspective, and you can't put the two together. Saint cities is SAINT, sanctuary assembled in nature's tradition. I'll keep saying it and I'll keep saying it. Is the emotional challenge to the liberal sanctuary city definition.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little logical because it's a sanctuary assembled in nature's tradition. These are rights given to us by God, and you really, Mr. Whoever, can't do anything about taking them away from me. But when you implement other than Saint City's policies, you step on my natural rights. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
The very people our Statue of Liberty proclaims to welcome are the ones we hurt by denying them safety and protection in their own communities. The statue, I guess it's so wound up I can't even talk. The Statue of Liberty does not say, come on in and we'll square up with you later. It says, hold it right there, check in, tell us who you are, tell us where you're coming from, give us a little bit about your background. Then you're more than welcome to participate in this thing called America.
Yep.
And America, by the way, is a participatory environment. A little thing that we call assimilation.
That's right.
Okay, so the other one was blah, blah, blah. Here are 5 things that you need to know about sanctuary cities. This is according to a thing called police1.com. It has to do with policing in the 21st century. And there's definitely a standoff between the police chiefs and ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And I am sorry. I'm not sorry that I did it. Excuse me. I had a bit of a confrontational conversation with the San Antonio police chief over a thing called a Title U visa.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be aware of it, but there's a visa that is readily available to every court and every judge to be awarded to an illegal immigrant that comes forward and works with the police to help to protect the community from the 2 or 3 million bad illegal immigrants that Trump is trying to find and get out of here. A Type U visa gives these people police protection and a work permit and the ability to a fast track to citizenship in the United States as a reward for their participation. I cannot understand why a police department would not be promoting these Type U visas instead of,
Yep.
I shake my head in disbelief. It's extremely frustrating. They have a tool that they are refusing to use. And God bless them. They wonder why they take so much crap from downtrodden individuals. I'll tell you why. Because they've lost their respect.
Mm-hmm.
They've given it up by not standing firm and doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
You lose your respect.
That's
like
true.
Ima and I both pointed out at the beginning of the show. They have lost the trust that we used to have in them. I grew up trusting my police officer. I didn't say I necessarily liked him, but I trusted that he would always do the right thing. When they refuse to help protect local citizens from illegal immigrants, they are no longer doing the right thing. And they've lost the trust of those communities that they say they're trying to be nice to, so they'll communicate with us and help us out. It doesn't work that way.
No.
It doesn't work that way. It's like lollycoddling. I don't want to go there. That's a different show. Tune into the Doc Owen Show on Thursdays. So the question is, sanctuary cities have come under fire before. Okay? We know what they are. We know that they've come under fire before. We know what Trump's position is on the issue. Trump wants them gone. I think that the president-elect recognizes the problem that they pose to everyday Americans. The fact that they are here and these big, big city mayors and these big city environments and big city police departments are promoting the fact that they're not going to cooperate with the federal government and help find illegal immigrants works like as nothing but a magnet to somebody that is thinking about coming to this country.
Oh, yeah.
Arg. And yet, here was one that just blew my mind. It came across the wires, I think first thing this morning was when I saw it. The Obama administration has decided to fine a police department for not hiring non-citizens. You talk about the world being upside down. The federal government is fining a county, Denver County in Colorado, for not hiring non-citizens.
That's upside down. That's a double knot. That's upside down.
Think about what that's saying.
I got it. Took me a little while, but now I get it.
All because, frankly, Colorado doesn't have a law against it, stating that you can't do it. So the Department of Justice says, well, you got no state law to stand on. 21 states have a law that says you can't hire a non-citizen to do police work, but Colorado doesn't have one of those. So the DOJ said they overstepped their bounds. But that's just only part of the problem. Why does the DOJ have time to deal with it? Because they're way too big, and they're just messing around in other people's business. Here's the head. I don't have much time left, but you need to hear this headline. It's classic. Mexico fights illegal immigration on its own southern border. They're fighting it on the southern border. They don't want people coming into their country illegally, and they're pushing them out the northern border. So,
thanks.
In Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, we're the recipients of that push. Saint Cities, please go to the Facebook page. Like us, follow us, spread the word. SAINT, Sanctuary Assembled in Nature's Tradition. It's not hard to remember, and it's what every city in America should be. A sanctuary assembled in nature's tradition. Protection for the rights that God gave us. Period. It's just not that hard. Don't buy into any other emotional plea except the one you just heard. Saint Cities by Doc Owen Show. Thanks for having us. Front row. Time to go. You have been listening to the Doc Owen Show. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Now go out there this week and take care, pay attention, and God bless.
Bye-bye, folks. God bless.